Hey everyone, and welcome back to more of the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Previously on the journey, we returned to Skyloft. Yep, Link, I know. It's always returning to. It's the only way to really describe it. After doing a bunch of trials where we had to fight a bunch of bosses, netting us some of the best rewards in the game, including the last piece of heart and the Hylian shield. And we also got the last piece of the Song of the Hero from Levius back there, netting us the true Song of the Hero, the song that leads you to the final trial. Play on your harp and you find the entrance. And in turn, this time, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. Finding the entrance to the final trial, since, you know, it seems like apparently getting the pieces of the song wasn't enough of a trial. We also have this trial, but I guess if you're talking about an object that allows you to essentially do anything and grant any wish, it makes sense that the security would be a little tight, I suppose. So we're going to be heading back to Skyloft. And in terms of mentioning stuff, because I'm not going to be cutting here, there is something I do want to bring up, because I'm going to be fully transparent. If you've been keeping up with every single episode of Skyward Sword, first off, thank you. But second off, you may notice the goddess cubes, count, like the things I put on the top left of the screen that shows what number it is and kind of where you can generally find it, that those may be misnumbered. Now, I do believe I've gotten all of them. I can't think of anything, really? Can't think of anyone from memory that I missed. But I think I may have numbered them incorrectly, which is my apologies. Now, that's not the biggest deal in the world as long as you get them all right, but still, I wanted to try to make it as concise as possible, and unfortunately, it just didn't, I don't think, truly turn out that way. Again, I don't know if that's true for a fact, but it is something I wanted to mention in case you were following along and you were curious about that, and it is an actual problem you're facing, that's probably a real thing. Now that we've made it back to the Skyloft area, there is some stuff we could do. But I think first things first, I want to find that trial, which it seems like the trial gate's over here near the plaza. And the glowing sphere thing there and the goddess butterflies would certainly indicate that. See, in case you're curious, it's not just the symbol they use in the dowsing, it actually is another like Silent Realm looking trial. Whether it is that or not is unclear, but it certainly seems like it's leading itself to be a part of the, what's it called? The Silent Realm trials. Which, keep in mind, we can speak of Silent Realm trials. I didn't do it, but you could also replay those if you want to with the Thunder Dragon and get more Dusk Relics should you need them. Hopefully you shouldn't if you were, you know, trying to get as many as you could when you were in the Silent Realms previously, but I wanted to make sure people, if you're playing along, that you're not, you know, missing out on items if you know, happen to miss something out. Thrust your sword into the center of the mark and open the way to the final Silent Realm. Sorry for being quiet there for a moment. I wanted that little tune to play at least once, because while I haven't talked about too many Easter eggs in this game, mostly due to the fact that I'm taking this game as a beginner's perspective. So like, people who haven't played any of the other ones will feel like super left out, because that's one of the biggest strengths of Skyward Sword is you don't really have to have the context of any other one since it is the first from a storytelling standpoint. But I'm going to start talking about a few of them, which means I am going to be talking about some of the later titles, but I'll be trying to break it down as much as I can. This little tune you'll hear after playing this song, which first off, the song we played has a motif from the main Zelda theme. And I'm not going to play an example, you could probably just know it if you've heard it before. But I am going to play a little motif for you in a moment, that being that this little... that you hear after talking to Fee here in this part of the trial is actually another part of a motif, but it's pretty much a little, I guess, repeating part of one of the other game's songs. That being from Ocarina of Time, which was an older title, but very much one of the most popular ones, and it was the first 3D Zelda game. The, like, Hyrule Field theme, so when you're just walking around, like, the main plains area, And again, really quickly, I'm just going to play a little bit of a snippet of it for you guys. Sorry. I'm going to play a little snippet of it for you guys really quick in comparison to this. So one more time, I'll let you listen to the little tune in the background first. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a pretty cool reference. And again, it's one that you don't absolutely have to catch or anything. But again, I'm going to start pointing out a few of these. There's a few I already didn't talk about. But again, I'm planning on talking about all the ones I do know for a fact. Like, closer to the end of this game. So, I'm ensuring that I don't just bring those up randomly for the most part. Okay, Fee. I think we've listened to that beautiful little tune long enough. It's time for us. Oh, here we go. I tried pressing it, it didn't work. It's time for us to enter the final trial gate. Master Link, you have entered the last of the trials, the goddess's silent realm. You got the spirit vessel. This mysterious plant represents your spirit, Link. When you have filled the spirit vessel once more, you shall finally be recognized as the true hero of legend. Only then will you be shown the door that will lead you to the Triforce. Master, I wish you success in this trial. Do you have any questions before you face the task ahead of you? None this time, Fee, but I appreciate it. Understood, Master. Master, I await your return in the outside world. That's right. It is a silent realm, and there was one present here on our home area or hometown of Skyloft this entire time. Also, the soundtrack here is really nice. Of course, that gets interrupted for a moment as we grab this first tier, because of course we have to make all of them hostile for a moment. You got a sacred tier. This object's power halts the movements of the Guardians for just 90 seconds. Collect all 15 to pass the trial. It is nothing really new for me to describe in terms of what we're doing. At this point, you probably are familiar with these silent trials if you watched some of the past episodes. They function the exact same, though it may be seen as harder and in some ways easier, as you're probably most familiar with the layout of Skyloft above all else, just due to, I mean, it's Skyloft. This is your main area. Also, I abandoned ship there for a moment because I got stuck on the bench, so I just hopped down. So this is the oh, that was very close. The Goddess's Silent Realm, which is interesting for us to hear about. Because all the other ones were related to the dragons, if you recall, like Lineru, Farron, and Din. But this time it's the Goddess's Silent Realm, which would make sense, because keep in mind, the Skyloft as an island was actually brought up from the goddess. She ascended that, including every other like piece of land that we've encountered. Oh. I'm not gonna lie, I assumed that that was just on like a piece of land or something, and it kind of is, but not really. It's on a little stilt there. So if you can tell, it may be a little more challenging than some of the other ones we've been through so far, but still, I don't think this one's that bad. Thankfully, if we fall out of bounds or anything like that, it doesn't like count as the run being over, but still. As you can see, they're definitely making them a little bit more challenging, but as long as you're, you know, patient enough with it and you kind of know the timing, you should be okay. Should be able to grab this one from here, yep, and then we have one up there. Again, the little white fruits here are still useful because you can use those to get a quick glimpse of where everything's at. But thankfully, again, since it's in the Skyloft region, I feel like this is probably the location that most players will be the most familiar with at this point. Let's head up here. Again, you can also use the map if you need to, and also it looks really goofy, just the color change. Oop, almost got his attention there. Didn't really want that. I don't believe there was any more up there, though thankfully I can double check as soon as I get another fruit, because we'll see a giant pillar appear if there is one there. Nothing there, none up near the goddess statue, so let's head back this way. I'm going to try to get this one next, because this one's probably my least favorite in this entire area, just due to the fact you have to do a little bit of like tight platforming. I'm going to grab this first just so we reset the timer, And then we're going to do our best to get here. The Poe is just more so an annoyance. I feel like it's actually more so annoying to just grab. There we go. Not that bad, but probably my least favorite of the tiers to grab, just because I feel like that's the one that's always the most stressful one. But it's probably just due to its location. Of course, we have a lot of water to watch out for. Again, we all know what happens if you touch water in the Silent Realm at this point. Would not turn out well. And I believe the rest of them are more near the heart of Skyloft, which is good, because I want to get the ones that are further out first, since, as I mentioned, of course, we're going to go under the assumption that this works under the same laws as the other Silent Realms, where after we collect them all, we have to make our way back to the beginning, and not wanting to have to redo everything. It'd be nice to try to keep some tiers near the ending. For example, there's one up on that watchtower. I think that would be a good one to keep for, like, near last. It does take a little bit of time to grab due to you have to go up a ladder and stuff for it, but I think it's probably not too bad. Just gotta jump there, so don't have to worry about it. And again, the music here is really nice. I like how has the motifs of Skyloft and stuff. And something I think I've mentioned a few times, but I'm gonna take this time because again, there's nothing else really to talk about. We all kind of know this works. This one's also really annoying to grab. Is that the Zelda series as a whole is really well known, I think, for its soundtrack. Even if you're not familiar with the games, you may be familiar with parts of its soundtrack. And that's true, and I think Skyloft, yeah, well, I guess Skyloft, but all of Skyward Sword's soundtrack is one of my favorite parts about it. There are very few songs in it that I can say I'm not a fan of. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot the water appeared there. Okay, so we're gonna pause that thought for a moment, because we have to get this other tier that was over here. Thank goodness we left another one over here. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. That was the closest I think we've come in the entirety of the game to almost getting caught in one of these Silent Realms. Okay, well that was a little too close. I'm not even gonna worried about the Dusk Relic. I just don't want to get caught. Okay, so that aside, as I was trying to say, Skyward Sword has some of my favorite music in the series, and I think is really strong soundtrack-wise. For example, Groos's theme, which is what I used in the last episode when I was speeding up the like Thunder Dragon parts that I already done. But there's just a lot of different parts of the Zelda franchise where I think it's musically just super strong. And one of the things, you've probably noticed from this point, is how it uses motifs from some of its more popular songs. And it will use them in different songs to kind of enhance them. And I don't know, I just really like when games like use motifs that they use in some of their more like common songs in multiple places, which I know is a pretty common thing in music in general, but I don't know, I really like it in the case of Zelda. So here, yep, we have to be careful because there is a Poe here, but the time limit is closing in, so I just kind of want to speed up and grab it. Also, there is a Guardian up here too, so don't think you're safe like getting up here if you just run past it immediately. You collected every last sacred tier. Link's spirit has grown. The trial will continue until you exit the Silent Realm. Proceed with caution your way back to the entrance. And as you can see, we're right there next to the entrance, so thankfully it's nothing too bad. And we can just jump down, because we don't take damage. I mean, it probably hurt, but you know. That's not our concern. You've got the Stone of Trials. This engraved object was created to lead the chosen hero to the hidden location of the Triforce. Congratulations, Master. You have passed all of the trials. The Stone of Trials you just obtained is actually one of a pair, Master. Another similar object with a mark just like the one you hold exists somewhere on this island. Combining the two should open the way to the Triforce. I suggest that you search for that matching stone. Yep, so indeed our reward isn't nothing in terms of our gear, but it is an object, the Stone of Trials, proof that you've overcome all the trials set before you. Opens the way to the Triforce. So we really have come such a long way. Now we have, of course, some of the best gear in the game. There is some stuff I want to do before that, though. Nothing for side quests, because we already did all those. Nothing really for super big enhancements, but what I do want to, do, is come into the bazaar, because I want to go through our inventory a little bit. Now, I'm going to keep everything in our pouch the way it is. I'm pretty comfortable with having the two fairies, and I'm probably just going to use one, because I don't really feel like having two on me later on. But I do want to come and buy some arrows, which is the first time I've really done this playthrough, because it's really cheap. Money has no other purpose for us at this point, and I really just fill up our quiver to its maximum. Thank you, and I think that's all Okay, yep, 15, and I believe everything now should be max, including our slingshot, right? Yep. Okay. I just want to make sure everything was fully refilled, I should say. No, not that. How much is the bombs, out of curiosity? Because I may wait. 10 bombs, 20 rupees. Yeah, 20 rupees again. At this point, money is really no object. There's nothing else we really are going to need a ton of it for, except for potions, and we have a decent amount for that. And if push comes to shove, we can always just do the same mini game that I mentioned earlier with the clown and whatnot. So, at this point, you are set free as to where the matching stone will be. That was rhyme, bars. But you really have no indication as to where to go. Now, you could probably guess it's going to be somewhere on Skyloft, which should be correct. So you have, you know, a little bit of a limited range as to where to look. But one thing I do want to do is I want to double check we've been into everyone's house at this point, because not everyone's house has a purpose, but I'm pretty sure we have been in everyone's. Pipit, Potion. The only one we really haven't been in, I think, for that long is the Scrap Owner Shop, because there's no real reason to go in here unless you want to check out some stuff. And I want to do that. This isn't where you have to go for story, just to clarify, but I do want to come over here to actually show the house and see what's in here. We really haven't explored. We've been in here once, and I was trying to look for something else, but we haven't really talked to you. We saw this lady at the beginning of the game, if you recall.
Oh, that lug does make one filthy mess after another. I swear he leaves a grease spot wherever he sits. I know he takes us around with his oily doodads, but I'm drowning in dirty laundry here.
Sounds tough.
It is tough. That greasy lug nut has framed my wires. Thought he would settle down a bit. Maybe he washed his hands now that he's got the robot up and running, but he's still tinkering away. I'm telling you, that boy will never get the grease out from beneath his fingernails. Ah.
So, yep, this is the mother of the Tinkerer's Workshop, if you will, at the bazaar. If you go there at night, I believe he'll be there. And originally, if you hadn't, if you go there before the robot's fixed, you'll see him trying to fix it. Just some more small stuff. We could go into Pipit's house and like clean up the house again for I think it's 20 rupees, which again at this point really isn't a ton. But hey, if you want to do that, you can. Nothing at Beetle's shop. I think we've been to, because this is the one samurai guy. Yeah, item check. And then the other one over here is the little boy who pointed us in the direction. Yeah, Piper's, I think. Piper's house. And in general, it seems like there isn't a ton to do left, but there is one more thing I'm going to show before we progress story-wise, because it's just another small thing. Again, I'm going to start talking about Easter eggs. I already mentioned, like, the Tingle one and one before that, and I'm going to go, like, more in-depth, probably, again, when it's closer to the end of this adventure. But there's one thing I want to do up here near the goddess statue, which is if you come up here, after acquiring the claw shots, which has been a while, but I wanted to show this now since, again, it just didn't really fit in at any other time. You can actually go up here and in turn get to the other side of this wall. And what's hidden over here? Some flowers. And it seems like a bunch of the little, what are these things called again? Remlet. I actually know those were their names. Some animals dwell in Skyloft due to Betrot's transformation into human. They no longer exhibit aggressive tendencies at night. This is something that changes. So, these small animals dwell in Skyloft, but due to Betrot's transformation to a human, they no longer exhibit aggressive tendencies at night, meaning that they'll actually no longer become hostile at, well, night. It's interesting how that's tied to Betrot's lore, and it's something that's very little well known. Again, I remembered this, but I did not remember their names being what they were. And it's kind of a cool thing. So, you can get to this little spot with a bunch of them, and, you know, that's cool and adorable and whatnot. But what's the thing I want to show? If you are to grab your goddess harp while next to a bunch of these guys and you start strumming it, their head will tilt as you are playing the song, which is, again, hilarious. I, for some reason, thought it was tied to which direction at some point it was, but I don't think it is. I think it's just tied to you playing the goddess harp next to them. And so you can see that they'll just sit around and then they'll start tilting their heads as you play the harp. This does absolutely nothing in terms of gameplay. This unlocks nothing for you. And these trees I don't even believe can contain any object. But it is just a cool detail. And you can do this with any of these ones, not just the ones in this little like hidden spot or location. But I wanted to go here because I want to show this location exists. Because it's, again, a really obscure thing, I think. But two, it's also just a small little Easter egg that I wanted to show. But with that, there's nothing more for us on this side. Also, weirdly enough, this target's kind of like floating off of the pillar, if you look. Oh. If you look in a moment when I actually get up there to show it, which this time hopefully we'll succeed. Yep. As you can see here, it's kind of just like floating there, and I don't know why that is. It really does seem like maybe it was last second them putting that there, but hey, whatever. But with that, that's all the small things I wanted to take detours for. I think it's time we start trying to figure out where this gem needs to go to. Now, I want to make this perfectly clear. What we're about to do is going to affect the entirety of Skyloft. Not immediately, but the story is going to change it in a way that is irreversible. Now, the only things that this should affect is everything that is on the north side of Skyloft. This side. This will mean that a lot of the things over here will no longer be available. However, things like the pumpkin pole, Beetle's airship, and like anything for completion is not going to be lost over here on this side of the map. However, some small things will change, and I want this to be known because if you are for some reason wanting to do some stuff. For example, I think you can no longer open like that chest, and I think there's like another thing over here you can't get, like somewhere near the water. But there's some other small things you can't do once you progress far enough in the story. And again, it's not gonna happen immediately, but we're getting there very quickly, and I want that to be known. That being said, as I mentioned though, also nothing does get like blocked off in terms of completion, so you don't have to worry too much, but I, again, wanted it to be known. So one thing that I'm going to mention is if you recall to the very, I think it's first or second episode in this series. Oh my gosh, my voice. In the series. We came over here when we were originally looking for our Loftwing. It's been a while. And we found the old man who was talking about the statue over here who had been missing an eye for some reason. And if we look at the eye, it seems to have a strong resemblance to the Stone of Trials. And he mentioned it's part of a missing pair. So if your memory served you properly, you may be able to immediately remember that this is where you need to go for this. Again, it's some of that world building and stuff like that that's really nice that they've been hinting it to this being the location you'd have to go to at some point from that early on in the game. Report Master Link. My calculations indicate an 85% chance that the structure you uncovered houses the Triforce. Given this development, I project that the moment for Zelda to fulfill her destiny and bring an end to demise is close at hand. The Triforce was here all along. And this is what I mentioned with the things being changed permanently on Skyloft. That chest that was there you can no longer get, and yeah, so there you go. It was a small change, but I wanted it to be known that you are changing it in a small way. I just wanted to kind of, ham it up a little bit for dramatic sake. Also, the single cannonball just hitting the wall and then causing all this is hilarious. Either way, The way to the Triforce Force. The way to the Triforce is open, and Zelda's freedom is close at hand. Next time, we are going to be entering the final dungeon in order to finally get access to the Triforce and rescue Zelda. I hope to see you all there.